So we've done quite, we've seen quite a lot of functions under home. And I think we should move to transform and add column. So transform and add column are very similar. The major difference between the two is that when you use transform, when you use the functions under transform, it transforms that same column. For example, if I under transform, if I perform any function on here, it's that same column that the function is performed on. But if I do the same with add column, it will retain the original column and bring your results in another column by the name add column. So it adds an extra column when it's bringing your result. That's the major difference. Aside that, most of the, not all, but most of the functions you will find here are also what you would find here. For example, extract, these statistics and some mathematical functions there are all under transform, and also you would find them under add column as well. Okay. So, and I think we've actually done a few things on that transform. We've used group by in one of our videos, classes rather, and we've been using use first row as header. So I think we've done that a couple of times. Transpose, reverse rows, count rows. How do those work? Okay, if I say, I want you to do transpose for me. So I'm clicking on this and I'm saying, watch what would happen. And I'm saying transpose. What would they do? So it's gone on to turn things around, like 90 degrees, turn things around, you know. So let me remove that. Okay. I'm clicking on the first column and let's, you know, have a look at what that has. It's just the numbers that it has. And we've got folder, data access, and all of those other ones. And I'm saying transpose this. And what it's done, it's let's study this. So the file names, the name of the musician, and a few other things have been turned like 90 degrees around. Basically, that's what it's done. I don't know what situation you might have that would make you need to use it, but it can be handy because there's different problems that could be encountered, you know. So whatever it is there to be used, and you can even see the way what's been put beside it, like turning like a 90-degree turn the opposite way. So it's like an L shape that's facing the opposite way. So that's what that does. So hopefully one of these days we'll encounter something that will make us need it, and it's there to use. And then we've got reverse rows. So let's see what reverse rows will do. It's reversed the rows. In what way? I didn't really see that well. So you see, I don't really use most of these functions. So I've not really needed to use it. But I say it's reversing the rows. See, we've got number 17 on top. If I decide to sort descending, it's bringing the highest number. So is that what it's just done? I'll stop that. And I click on reverse rows again. It's like it's just reversed the rows. So it's brought the rows that are at the bottom to the top. That's basically what that has done. And then we've got count rows. which I believe should be counting how many rows are in that column. So if we put count rows, it says we've got 861 rows. So that's just counting, doing a total count there of the number of rows that we have. We have used enter data before when we made a table. Remember, when we manually entered some information on a table, where we said you can create a table inside here, or you don't have to always bring data from outside. So that is there, quite handy. All you just do is click and type, and you just keep typing, add columns, and type your first row, type your second row, and you just keep going for as much information that you need to add there. Okay. What have I done? Did I close my Power Query? Okay. And data source settings. So you just go on to
Demi,
yes.
It's like you move back to the home. You were on transform before.
Oh, okay. So let's close that transform. It looks like it's okay. Oh, thank you for letting me know. I didn't even realize it. All right. So then we've done count rows. We know what count rows do. Data type. We already know how data types work. If you don't want to use it here, they are all here, very handy, just beside each of your column headers there. Rename. If you don't want to double click before you rename, I just double click and rename if I need to rename. Okay. So it's there for you to use, all under transform. Replace values. If we've just done it now, we've replaced values many times during the course of our learning more about Power Query. Fill is quite a very handy one as well. Let's say we've got, let me see. Where we have some null or blank space, would have been best to demonstrate that. Okay, actually, no, it won't work. I'm just looking for somewhere where I've got nulls within. This is a good place to use this fill example where we've got BC and then we've got nulls at the top. So if you want these to be filled up, normally it would have been best that this is blank. But let me see if it will work even if it's not blank and we've got null. So you can decide to fill BC up, like you want BC to be filled up here where you've got null, or to be filled down to a certain to the last, to where you have the last null here. And you want SP to be filled down, and you just want, whatever is there to be filled down to the next null. So if I click on there and we're on transform, and I click on the fill down arrow, we've got either you want to fill down or fill up. Let's do fill down first. So you see fill down, filled for BC, we had BC here and nulls. It filled all of it. So it just filled down with whatever valid value was it had that's above. It fills whatever is above down. And if we were to use fill up, it would just have filled up. So BC would, and you could see that the top bits were not filled when we did fill down, because we said fill down. So there was nothing that could fill anything down here. But if we had done fill up, that problem would have been solved, It just fills BC up. And then if there was anything above SP before the last BC here, it will just keep filling up like that. So if that's applicable to the situation, then yes, it is there to use. Pivot column. The idea of pivot table and pivot table in Excel. So if you want to pivot a particular column, let's see how that works. Let me see, we can use this. So I click on this and I say pivot column, and let's see what happens. Says use the name in column, use the names in column customer ID to create new columns. I don't understand that. To create. Okay, let me okay that and see what happens. And what's happened. Let me see into the settings, see if we can select where the cell values for the new columns come from. Okay. So with pivot column, we are making, we are using customer ID, which I clicked on to create a new column, and the values, select where the cell values for the new columns come from. And the values for the new column we are making up is coming from company name, you know. Again, I don't use pivot column, so I'm not really going to talk too much about it. You can see that I'm even doing meh on that already. Okay, but on pivot, so pivot columns, again, is not one of those that you would, that's common for you to use. Then we have on pivot column, which is the more popular one. It works almost like transpose that we saw earlier. And again, you can either unpivot the column you choose, or you unpivot other columns, or you say unpivot only selected columns. So let me see if we can get a really good example for this one that really showcases what we should be seeing. Other details. I'm tempted to use this, but would it work? Okay, actually, let me remove this. I'm going to remove this and see. This is the only one that can't. Okay. So if I decide to pick all of this from here, say to here, to this point, okay, maybe to this point, and I say on pivot other columns, which are the other ones very there. So what it's done is, let me redo that again so that we can see what happened. So I chose from this point to this point because I want this to remain like this. I want this to be maintained like this. I want product ID like this, product name like this, supplier ID like this, category ID like this, and that like that. And I want these last 4 columns to become 2 basically. And how that would happen is unit price, units in stock, units in order, reorder level would all become, they will fall as one column, and all the values under them would be arranged as one column as well. So it's like, again, this is another something like 90-degree turn. And we can see something similar that's drawn beside at the corner here. Okay, so I'm going to say on pivot other columns because I don't want these ones I've chosen to be pivoted, to be unpivoted. I want the unchosen ones to be unpivoted. So opposite of pivot now. So if I do that, and that's what it's done, it's turned all of the column headers into rows, and all of the values under them into that, just like that. And it's named them attribute, which was those attributes that it's turned from column headers to row headers, and the values under them, it has turned around like this. Most of the time, this is best used when you have a situation like maybe you've got months and you've got values under the months. So say you've got months as January on this as column header here, January, February, March, up to December, and it's all going like that. And you've got some values for each month. And that's not what you want. You want January, February, March to be in one column rather than be different column headers or be in different columns, okay? You can just go on pivots so that you have all your January, February, March being in one column, and then all the values that should come with them in the other column. I hope you are able to sort of visualize, you know, that. Pity we don't have the right examples for everything. And I want us to have a feel of at least a few things here, you know. And the same goes for if we had used on pivot the actual column we chose, it would be those ones that are turned from columns into rows. On pivot only selected columns, again, it would have been just the selected ones that would have been changed. Move. Let's see how this works. So I've got my supplier ID and I'm saying move left. Okay, so that's shifted it to the left. So it's named it reordered columns. Okay, it's just like me clicking to drag. Okay, so maybe if I don't want to drag, I'm just using, you know, move to do that drag. So it's just an option there. Yeah, you might want to convert to list. Or what does that mean? It says convert the current selected column to a list. Okay, so if I click on this and I say convert to list, what does it do? Okay, and it converts it, it removes every other one basically. And it converts this to a list of all of the products. Again, I don't know the situation where you would want that, but it's there to be used. And then we've got, lastly for today, we've used split to column a lot. And this is where you divide one column into different columns. You're separating one column basically. Maybe you are using the limiter number of characters, however you want to do it. It's all here. And then you can format, meaning that if I pick this now, you can decide to format everything to lowercase and it will turn everything to lowercase for you. Or you want everything to be uppercase and that would happen, you know. So each one, if you just want to capitalize each word, it will do that. And if you want to trim, clean, add a prefix, maybe you want a prefix YZ in front of everything or suffix after everything, you can do that. Trim, clean, we have used a few of these. We've used those two a lot already. And sometimes you may want to extract from maybe, you know, maybe you want to extract the first part of a column, maybe by length or by first character, whatever it is that you want to extract by, it is right there. And the rest is just just mathematical functions. It's not highlighted here now because what I've chosen it doesn't require us being able to, we can't sum this, we can't perform mathematical, apart from count and distinct count, we can't do more with this. That's why those are grayed out. You know, if it was maybe where it recognizes it as a number, you see how that lightened up. So you can do that. And if you are choosing maybe two columns to work with, you can easily, why is it grayed that out? Okay, I wanted to show that you can easily multiply, add, divide. So you can easily do that. Maybe because I clicked that under transform column, maybe under add column, maybe it wouldn't gray out. Let's see. Okay, it didn't gray out. So because if you are adding two columns, it's got to add a third one to show you the result, isn't it? So that is not grayed out here. And there's different options that you can try your hand on, you know. So transform and add. I won't go into add columns because again, we are going to be using them in the coming examples, maybe another data set that we'll work with anyway. But we just have to know that each time you use add column, you get an extra column. Each time you use transform column, you don't get an extra column. Your original column would get transformed. Not much to do under view, except maybe you want to profile your column, check the quality, and just check for how just the profile. Is it all valid? Are there errors? How much of it has error? How much of it is null? And all of this extra information about your column and its quality. That's what the major thing under, well, we've got query settings formula, but maybe you don't want it. And there's no reason why you shouldn't have it so that you can see the formulas. Go to, maybe you've got 100 columns and you don't want to keep dragging or scrolling. You just want to pick one to go to straight up. It goes to that particular one for you. Advanced editor, we don't have to talk about just now. Just know that this is where all these steps are recorded as steps, like a kind of a programming. This is where it's all recorded. You can always copy this and paste straight away into another data set, another Power BI. If you're working with the same data set and you want the same results, you don't have to do all of the work from scratch. You can just copy and paste into the other one, and you should be good to go if you know how to just change things around a little bit in there. That's all that one is. And that should be it for Power Query, really. We've spent quite a number of lessons on this. I